She cried once, and I wasn't supposed to see it. But I did, from the stairwell between our apartments, where I stood with takeout and keys, pretending I wasn't listening to someone else's silence breaking. Her name is Elise. She lives one floor above. Always barefoot on her balcony, even in winter, always sipping something warm she never finishes. I don't know what she does during the day. I just know that she comes alive in the hours after everything else quiets down, when the world pulls its covers up and she lets her guard down. We met in the elevator once. I held the door and said something about the rain, and she smiled like it physically hurt her to do it. That was 6 months ago. Since then, our conversations have been 5 words long, on average. But they've meant more to me than entire nights out with people my age. Tonight started with a knock. Not loud. Not urgent. Just hesitant. I opened my door, and she was standing there, hoodie too big, sleeves pulled over her hands like she forgot how to be warm. Hair damp like she'd washed it and didn't bother drying it. No makeup. No smile. Sorry, she said, eyes flicking past me, like maybe she wasn't sure why she came. There's this noise upstairs. I didn't want to be alone. I stepped aside. She walked in like it wasn't the first time, even though it was. She didn't sit right away. Touched the back of the chair, glanced at my books stacked unevenly, looked at the photo on the fridge, my mom and me, at some beach years ago. I offered tea. She said yes, then didn't touch it. We didn't talk much. Not for a while. She asked what I was reading. I lied and said poetry. She nodded like that made sense, like that's what she expected from me. She sat with her legs tucked up under her, arms wrapped around herself like she was holding something in. I didn't ask what. I just let the silence be a kind of permission. The clock ticked loud in the quiet. My fan whirred in the corner. Outside, someone coughed and a car passed. She flinched, like even normal sounds were too sharp. I used to hate falling asleep alone, she said suddenly, voice low, like she wasn't sure she meant to say it out loud. Then I got used to it. Now I hate that I did. I didn't know what to say to that. But I looked at her, really looked. The kind of looking that makes your throat tighten a little. Her eyes didn't meet mine, but her hand was close to mine on the armrest. Close enough that my pinky brushed hers when I shifted. She didn't move it away. We sat like that for I don't know how long. At some point, she turned toward me just slightly and said, "Can you just stay until I fall asleep?" No performance. No flirtation. Just something raw and unscripted. I said yes before I even thought about it. She nodded once, got up slowly, and walked to the hallway, barefoot, quiet, her shadow long against the wall. She paused in the doorway of my bedroom. Not hers. Mine. "I won't talk," she said, finally looking at me. But there was more in her eyes. Something that felt like a warning. Or a question. I stood up. The room felt smaller all of a sudden. The air tighter. I wasn't sure if I was following her in, or if I'd just been pulled. She stepped inside. But didn't close the door. She lay on her side, facing the wall. My bed creaked when I sat down on the edge. I didn't take off my shoes. The air between us wasn't heavy, not yet. It was thin, suspended, like a thread you weren't supposed to pull. So I didn't move. I just sat there, back straight, hands in my lap like I was waiting for an appointment I hadn't booked. "I used to do this with my ex," she said quietly. "Not talk. Just ask him to stay." I turned my head slightly, but she didn't look at me. It worked sometimes. Other nights he'd leave anyway. I didn't ask which kind of night this was. I just watched her shoulder rise and fall with every slow breath. Her skin looked softer in the warm light. Less distant. I wondered if that's what got her hurt, being soft in a world that wanted her sharp. "I'm not him," I said because I had to say something. She let out a small sound. Not quite a laugh. "No. You're not." There was something in her voice that made me feel both chosen and ridiculous. Like she'd reached for the closest thing in the dark and found me. And maybe that was enough. Or maybe it wasn't fair to either of us. She sat up, pulling her knees to her chest. The neckline of her sweatshirt slipped slightly, exposing the slope of her shoulder. I didn't look away fast enough. She noticed. Didn't fix it. How old are you again? She asked, not sharply, just curious. 24, I said. And a half. She smiled at that. A real smile, tired but warm. God. That makes me feel ancient. You're not, I said too quickly. You're. I stopped myself. She tilted her head. I'm what? Beautiful. Brave. Sad in a way that makes me want to stay. Not what I expected, I muttered instead. She nodded like she understood the words I didn't say. I thought I was done with this part, she said softly. With needing people. I thought of her on the balcony, alone, night after night. I thought of the way her hand stayed close to mine on the armrest. Of her voice when she asked me to stay. And still, I didn't reach for her. Instead, I asked, why did it end? With him? She didn't answer right away. Got up, went to the kitchen. Opened the fridge, stared at it, then closed it again. She poured herself water and let the faucet run too long. Then she leaned against the counter, looking at me over the rim of the glass. I think I started shrinking. Making myself smaller, quieter. So I wouldn't be left. And in the end, he left anyway. She said it like a fact. Like something from a textbook. I stood slowly. Walked into the kitchen. We were close, too close for it to be nothing. I reached to take the glass from her, and for a second, both our hands were on it. Her fingers didn't let go right away. It was a half second. Maybe less. But it felt like a shift. She looked at me, not through me this time, but into me. And it wasn't gratitude, or relief, or even confusion. It was danger. And need. And something between them. I should go, she said. But she didn't move. We ended up back on the couch. Side by side, but not touching. The silence between us had shaped now. It pressed at the edges of my chest. My legs were tense. Her shoulder was inches from mine. I could feel the heat of her through the fabric of her sweatshirt. She tucked her feet under herself. Exhaled. The kind of sigh that sounds like it's been building for years. Then she laughed. Softly, like she'd surprised herself. What? I asked. I don't even know you, she said, eyes still on the coffee table. And here I am, in your apartment. Telling you things I've never said out loud. You know me better than most people do, I said. And it was true. She knew my quiet. That felt more real than any biography. She turned to me then. Really turned. One leg folded under, one arm slung over the back of the couch, her face angled toward mine like a challenge. Do you want me here? She asked. Her voice was steady, but her fingers tightened around the hem of her sleeve. A small, barely there grip, like she was bracing for the answer. I didn't speak right away. I didn't have to. Her eyes dropped to my mouth for a second, not long, not obvious, but I caught it. And I swear to God, the moment felt electric. Like something dared to happen. My hand was on the couch cushion, hers beside it. One finger moved. Then another. Until the edge of her pinky brushed mine. Neither of us looked down. Neither of us moved away. And then, her phone buzzed. She jumped slightly, blinking like someone had snapped her out of a trance. Reached for her phone and turned it over. The name on the screen wasn't mine. She silenced it without answering. Sorry, she said, voice quiet now. It's just, he still calls sometimes. My ex usually when he's had wine and no one to talk to. I nodded, even though I felt something tighten in my ribs. You can take it, I said. She looked at me. I don't want to. We sat in that hush again, but it was different now. There was too much we weren't saying. I wanted to lean in. I wanted her to let me. I should go, she said again, just like before. But this time she stood. Took a step toward the door. Her hand brushed the side of my neck as she passed. She didn't mean to. Or maybe she did. I didn't know anymore. It was such a light touch. Just skin on skin. But my whole body felt it. She paused in the doorway. Didn't turn around. I wasn't planning to come here tonight. I stood behind her now. Close. Close enough that if I reached forward, I could have touched her back. Pressed my palm between her shoulder blades. Asked her to stay. I didn't. She opened the door. Then stopped. Not turning back, not leaving either. And in that stillness, in that unbearable in-between, one thought pushed through the noise in my head. I knew I shouldn't be feeling this. But I was. And I couldn't stop. She didn't come down for 4 days. I told myself I didn't notice. That I had things to do, places to be. But every night, when I heard the faint creak of her balcony door above mine, I looked up at the ceiling like I could feel her through the plaster. I left my light on later than usual. I kept my door unlocked, just in case. And I hated that I was doing any of that. Hated the way I'd started waiting for someone who didn't owe me anything. Then Thursday night came, and she knocked again. She didn't say hi. Just stepped in like the silence between us hadn't been days long. "Do you have wine?" she asked, brushing past me. I blinked. Yeah? Somewhere. She found the bottle on the counter, poured herself a glass without asking. Took a sip. Then another. Then sat on the floor instead of the couch, back against the kitchen cabinet like she was too tired to pretend anymore. I sat across from her. Legs crossed. Watching her. She stared at the glass in her hand like it might give her answers. Then she looked up. I thought if I stayed away long enough, whatever this is would die down. She said it like it was logical. Like this thing between us could be ignored out of existence. I didn't reply. "I've done this before," she said. Needed someone. Thought they could fix the part of me I didn't know how to carry alone. "You think that's what I'm doing?" I asked. "I don't know what you're doing," she said, sharp now. "I don't know what you want." Something in me cracked at that, not because it was cruel, but because it wasn't. "I want you to look at me the way you did that night," I said. "The way you looked before the phone rang." She froze. Just slightly. I kept going. "And I want you to stop pretending it didn't happen. That this," I gestured between us, "isn't real." She looked like she was trying to hold something in. Maybe anger. Maybe grief. Maybe herself. "You're 24, she said finally. "You're supposed to want someone to mess around with. Not," her voice broke, "not someone who's been gutted by divorce and still flinches when she hears her ex's ringtone. You think I care about that? I think you should." Her eyes were glossy now, but not from the wine. Her lip trembled, just once. I moved before I thought. Crawled forward, closing the space between us on the floor. She didn't stop me. My hand hovered beside her face. She didn't lean in. But she didn't pull back either. "You make me feel like I matter again," she whispered. I swallowed. "You do." A beat passed. Then she said it. Barely audible. A breath more than a word. "Don't go." My fingers brushed her jaw. And then, a knock at the door. The knock at the door didn't sound urgent. It was soft. Hesitant. But it cut through the moment like a blade. She stiffened. My fingers were still brushing her jaw, and I felt the way her breath caught, how her whole body went still. Then, slowly, she pulled away. Not fast. Not with guilt. Just, like she had to. "I'll get it," I said. "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. She stood, wiped under her eyes with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. Fixed her hair without looking in the mirror. Then walked toward the door like someone heading into something they couldn't avoid. When she opened it, I saw only part of him, tall, in a jacket too nice for this building, holding something in a paper bag. He looked surprised to see her. Then his eyes darted past her. Saw me. Saw the wine glass on the counter. The 2 sets of shoes by the door. He didn't say anything. Neither did she. She stepped outside, pulling the door halfway closed behind her. I could still hear them. Muffled. Not clear enough to catch every word, but enough. You said I know? You told me it was over. It is. I just. Then quieter. And quieter still. I sat down on the armrest of the couch, staring at the wine she hadn't finished. A minute later, she came back in. She didn't shut the door behind her. Just stood in the space like she didn't know how to cross it anymore. I didn't lie, she said softly. I didn't ask. She said it anyway. He's not my husband. Not anymore. But it's complicated. We still talk. He still thinks. Her voice faltered. She looked at the floor. Then at me. I didn't expect you, she whispered. I didn't know what to say. My chest felt like it was caving in, not because I was angry. Not even jealous. Because I had let myself believe in something without asking enough questions. I wasn't trying to fool you, she said. But I think I was trying to fool myself. I nodded. Swallowed hard. Then I said it. I'm leaving. Her head snapped up. What? I got into a program in another city. It starts in a month. She stared at me. As if the air had been knocked out of her. I wasn't going to take it, I added. I thought, maybe there was something here worth staying for. The silence between us stretched. A breath. Then another. She walked slowly to the counter, picked up her glass, took a sip. She didn't look at me when she spoke next. I can't ask you to stay. I didn't ask you to ask. She nodded. Like that was the answer she expected. And still, she lingered. Fingers curled around the glass, lips pressed shut. Her shoulders slumped in a way I hadn't seen before. Defeat? Or release? I didn't move toward her. She didn't move toward me. We just stood there, with everything suddenly different. And nothing settled at all. The next day, I didn't expect to see her. But she was already sitting on the steps outside my door when I got home, knees pulled in, arms wrapped around herself, staring at the scuffed hallway like it was holding answers. She stood when she saw me. Not fast, not dramatic. Just, deliberately. Like this had been building in her all day. I thought you said you were leaving, she said. Still am, I replied. She nodded, but didn't step aside when I reached for my keys. We stood there, too close for neighbors, too far for what we almost became. I'm not going to ask you to stay, she said. I know. But I need to say this. I unlocked the door but didn't go in. I leaned against the frame and waited. She took a slow breath. I want you, she said. The words were clean, unshaken. I didn't mean to. I tried not to. But it happened anyway. I blinked. My heart should have leapt, but something inside me braced instead. And? I asked. And? I don't know how this works. Her voice cracked slightly now. I've spent the last few years building walls just to feel normal again. To feel safe. And then you came in like a crack in the foundation. I smiled, even though it wasn't funny. I'm not asking you to tear your walls down, I said. I wanted to know if I was standing outside them alone. Her eyes welled but didn't spill. You're not, she whispered. And it broke something in me. I've never felt like this before, I said. Not with anyone. But I don't want to be someone you only let in halfway. You think I don't know that? Her voice rose a little, for the first time. Do you think it's easy for me to look at you and not feel like I'm already ruining something good just by being part of it? I don't want perfect, I said. I just want real. She was quiet. Then, I'm scared. Me too. We stood there in the hallway, two people stripped of everything but truth. No more pretending. No more lingering touches without words. No more saying, I should go, when we both wanted to stay. She looked at me like she was memorizing the shape of what might still be possible. Are you still leaving? She asked. I didn't answer right away. I think I have to, I said. She nodded, slowly, like she'd prepared for it. But her lip trembled all the same. I stepped back and opened the door. Do you want to come in? She hesitated. Then she stepped forward. Into the space we had made together. Into the uncertainty. I didn't close the door. I left it open behind her. It rained the morning I was supposed to leave. The soft kind, not angry, not dramatic, just steady, like the sky was letting go of something it had been holding too long. I sat at the small table by the window, a half-packed duffel bag at my feet. Across from me, Elise stirred sugar into her coffee, even though she never drank it sweet. She didn't say anything about it. Neither did I. We'd spent the night together. Not like that, not fully, but real in the way that matters more. No pretending. Just two people lying beside each other, awake longer than they admitted, sometimes speaking, sometimes not. I watched her now as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The same woman who once stood in my doorway asking for silence and company, now sitting in my kitchen, quiet but not afraid. I thought you'd be gone by now, she said, not accusing, just curious. I missed my train, I replied, sipping my coffee. She gave me a look, one that said she knew I hadn't missed anything. You changed your mind? I think my mind changed me. She smiled, but didn't say anything. Just let the quiet stretch, warm this time, not tense, not uncertain. I reached across the table and touched her hand. She didn't flinch. Didn't freeze. She let me hold it, and for the first time, she held back. I was so sure, I said, that this would fall apart if we let it be real. And now? She asked. Now I'm not sure of anything, except that I want to be here. With you. She looked down, brushing her thumb along the side of my hand. A small gesture. Gentle. And for someone who once admitted to shrinking herself to survive, she felt vast in that moment. I spent so long thinking I wasn't allowed to want this again, she said. That wanting you was selfish. Foolish. I leaned in. It's not. She let out a shaky breath, eyes glistening, but no tears. She was past breaking. I don't need saving, she said quietly. I know, I replied. I just want to stand beside you. If you'll let me. Outside, the rain slowed. The light shifted. Not sun, but enough. We stayed like that, hands resting between two empty coffee cups, while the morning moved around us. No big promises. No declarations. Just a choice, hers, mine, ours, unfolding slowly and quietly in the space we had built together. Later, she helped me unpack the bag. Folded the shirts I'd stuffed in carelessly. Hung them in her closet without saying the words out loud. But they were there. Stay. Let's see where this goes. I want you here. And I was.